I just checked my wallet, and it feels lighter than yesterday. I'm not imagining it. Prices can jump fast when energy gets shaky. Today we're talking about the Iran war and why oil prices matter to regular people. Even if you never buy a barrel of oil, you still pay for it in sneaky ways. Let's break it down simply. I'm looking at my phone and seeing the same story everywhere. Energy costs are swinging. When the world gets nervous about oil supply, prices can spike quickly. That shock doesn't stay on a news headline. It travels into gas stations, deliveries, and bills. And yeah, it can hit our mood too. At the pump, this is where many people feel it first. I'm holding the nozzle and watching the total climb like it's racing. When crude oil gets more expensive, gasoline often follows. That's why people start saying, "Why is it so high already?" Because fuel reacts fast. Now I'm pointing at a map because this is a global chain reaction. A war in one region can shake confidence everywhere. Traders, shippers, and governments all watch the same routes. When a key route looks unsafe, supply feels tighter, and tighter supply usually means higher prices. This little oil barrel I'm holding represents something huge. Oil isn't just gas for cars. It's fuel for trucks, ships, and planes. It's also a building block for materials like plastics. So when oil gets pricier, lots of everyday costs can rise behind the scenes. That's the big idea. See this zigzag chart? That's the emotional roller coaster of oil prices during a crisis. Prices can jump on scary headlines and drop on hopeful news. But the uncertainty itself is a problem. Businesses hate uncertainty because it makes planning harder. And when planning gets harder, costs creep up. I'm flipping a calendar because timing matters. Some price changes hit immediately, like gasoline. Other changes show up later, like grocery costs. People often ask, why is my food bill higher weeks later? It's because supply chains move on a schedule. Energy shocks can roll through like waves. I'm zooming in on a narrow waterway because choke points are a big deal. One of the most important is the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas moves through that tight space. If traffic is threatened or disrupted, the world feels it. That's why this area gets so much attention. I'm pushing a toy ship toward the strait and then stopping it. That's basically what happens when shipping slows down in real life. Less flow means less supply reaching buyers on time. That creates panic bidding for the barrels that are available, and panic bidding pushes prices up. Simple but painful. The TV is saying supply risk, and I can feel why markets react. Oil is traded globally, and expectations move prices. Even the fear of disruption can be enough to raise costs. Once prices rise, businesses start preparing for higher expenses, and that preparation can spill into what we pay. Back at the pump, I'm tapping buttons like, "Please be cheaper," but prices don't negotiate with my feelings. When crude rises, gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel usually rise too. That's why the pump often becomes the first bill people notice. It's the most visible part of the story. Now I'm doing the math, and the math is doing emotional damage. Even small per-gallon increases add up fast over a week. People who commute long distances get hit harder, and households with tight budgets feel it immediately. This is where stress starts. That big sign on the roadside is basically a national mood ring. When gas prices approach levels people remember as painful, spending habits can change. More people start combining errands or skipping trips. Some drivers delay vacations or weekend plans because fuel is not optional for many jobs. I'm holding my keys and thinking, do I really need to drive today? This is a real consumer response. Cut back where you can. But not everyone can cut back. Nurses, delivery workers, tradespeople, many must drive. So higher fuel prices can feel like a forced pay cut. Here's the tiny bright spot. People start exploring options. I'm holding a bus pass like it's Plan B. Carpooling, transit, and remote work become more attractive. The goal isn't perfection, it's reducing the damage. Even one less trip can help your budget. Now let's talk diesel, because diesel is the quiet price that hits everyone. I'm standing next to this can like it's a warning sign. Diesel powers many of the trucks that move goods. When diesel rises, the cost of moving stuff rises too, and that shows up in store prices later. This truck icon is basically the backbone of shopping. Food, clothes, medicine, most of it rides on trucks at some point. If trucking gets more expensive, the system looks for ways to cope. Sometimes that means slower delivery. Sometimes it means higher fees. Either way, consumers feel it. I'm pushing a delivery cart and pretending it's easy, but logistics companies live and die by fuel costs. When fuel becomes a bigger slice of expenses, they try to save wherever they can. Routes get optimized, shipments get combined, and surcharges start appearing. This invoice is where the pain gets printed. Businesses don't just absorb extra costs forever. They may hold prices steady for a short time, but if high fuel sticks around, pressure builds. Eventually, someone passes the cost along, and that someone is often the customer. Ships also run on fuel, and fuel can be a huge part of shipping costs. If oil prices jump, shipping doesn't stay cheap. Some ships even slow down to save fuel. Slower ships mean slower supply chains. Slower supply chains can mean fewer goods available and higher prices. When fuel gets expensive, the whole economy can feel like it's driving in slow motion. I'm pointing to slow because that's how higher transport costs act. Air shipping becomes less attractive, faster delivery becomes more expensive, and businesses have to choose speed or savings. Fuel surcharges are like hidden price tags that appear everywhere. I'm holding this sign because it's the part people don't notice until later. A store might not raise the sticker price immediately, but shipping fees to the store can rise quickly. Then it shows up in the final price you pay. I'm staring at a shelf label like it personally betrayed me. This is how the ripple arrives, small increases across many items. You might not notice one item, but you definitely notice a full basket. That's why energy shocks feel like everything got pricier, because many things did. Now we look up, literally, at planes. Jet fuel is a major cost for airlines. If jet fuel rises fast, ticket prices can follow. Even if you aren't flying, travel costs influence tourism and business. That can affect local economies too. I'm searching flights and my face says nope. Higher fuel can mean higher fares and extra fees. And in a conflict, routes may change to avoid certain airspace. Longer routes burn more fuel. More fuel burned means higher costs. It stacks up. This jet fuel prop is a reminder that not all fuel is the same, but it's all connected to crude markets. When refined products surge, airlines get squeezed. Some airlines hedge fuel, which can slow the impact. Others feel it fast. Either way, travelers eventually notice. Look at this detour arrow. Longer route, bigger bill. In wartime, detours can become normal. That means extra hours, extra fuel, extra cost. And airlines don't print money, so they try to recover those costs through ticket pricing. That's why travel gets hit. Now I'm at home, holding a utility bill like it's a threat. Energy shocks can also influence home heating and cooking costs. Natural gas markets can react strongly too, especially in regions that rely on imports. So the impact isn't only driving, it can show up in monthly bills. That hurts because bills are hard to avoid. This stove and pot are here for a reason. Energy is a kitchen issue too. When households pay more for energy, they have less for everything else. That can change buying habits. People trade down to cheaper brands, or they cut non-essentials. Energy costs shape lifestyle choices. Oil doesn't just burn, it becomes stuff. I'm holding plastic and rubber examples because petrochemicals matter. Packaging, tires, containers, many products start as oil or natural gas feedstock. If those inputs rise, manufacturing costs can rise. Then retail prices may rise later. It's a slow but real connection. This factory poster is the behind-the-scenes part of inflation. Manufacturers often sign contracts months ahead, so price increases can be delayed. But if energy stays high, contracts renew at higher rates. That's when price hikes become more common. Time is a big factor. I'm reading the word inflation because oil shocks can feed it. Inflation is basically the average price level rising. Energy is everywhere in the economy, so it can push many categories up at once. That's why economists watch oil closely. It's like a domino that can tip other dominoes. This piggy bank moment is the emotional part. When basics cost more, savings gets harder. People might use credit more or postpone repairs and medical visits. Those choices create stress, and stress changes spending behavior. I'm making a grocery list because food is the next big worry. Food must be processed, packaged, and transported. Every step uses energy, so energy costs can sneak into food prices over time, especially if high oil lasts weeks or months. Fresh food and packaged food can react differently. Fresh items move fast and often travel far. Packaged goods can sit longer in warehouses, so prices may lag. That's why some categories jump earlier than others. It can feel random, but it's logistics. On farms, fuel powers equipment like tractors and harvesters. I'm holding a fuel can because that cost matters for food production. Higher energy can raise farm operating costs. Then those costs move into the supply chain. It's not instant, but it's real. This fertilizer bag is a big deal because fertilizer prices can be linked to natural gas. If natural gas rises, fertilizer can be pricier. That raises costs for farmers. Then crop prices can feel the pressure later. It's one of those delayed punch effects. I'm pointing at the natural gas flame because this isn't only an oil story. Gas markets can spike too, especially where imports matter a lot. Higher gas prices can affect power, heating, and industrial inputs. That's why energy crises feel broad. It's multiple fuels moving together.
This shopping cart looks normal, but the math behind it can change fast. If transport costs rise, stores may pay more to restock. If stores pay more, they eventually charge more. Not always immediately, but it builds. That's why people feel a slow squeeze on budgets. I'm holding a stopwatch because speed costs money. Fresh food that needs fast delivery uses more fuel-intensive logistics. If diesel is expensive, fast and fresh can become pricier. That's one reason produce prices can react sooner. The clock matters in supply chains. Processing is another energy-heavy step. Factories run machines, refrigeration, packaging lines, energy everywhere. When power and fuel costs rise, processing costs can rise too. Those costs spread across thousands of products. That's why inflation can feel like it's coming from all directions. Here's the simplest sentence in the whole video. Food gets to the store on fuel. Trucks, ships, sometimes planes. Fuel. That's why an energy shock can become a grocery story. You might not see the connection at first, but it's literally the road from farm to shelf. This long receipt is the moment people go, wait, how? It's usually not one giant price jump, it's many small jumps. A little more for shipping, a little more for packaging, a little more for energy. Add them up and the receipt tells the truth. Now I'm highlighting my budget like I'm in a survival game. When fuel rises, people often cut fun first. Eating out, entertainment, small trips, these get reduced. That can hurt local businesses too. An energy shock isn't just personal, it's community-wide. This rising prices thermometer is what policymakers fear. If oil stays high, inflation can rise. If inflation rises, interest rates might stay higher longer. That makes loans and credit more expensive. So one oil shock can spread into many parts of the economy. That's why it matters. This chart is my big picture board. Inflation isn't only about one product, it's about the overall basket of what people buy. Energy affects transport and production, so it can raise that basket. And when the basket rises, paychecks feel smaller. That's the squeeze. I'm holding the nozzle and the arrow because this is the chain. Oil to fuel to shipping to prices. People argue about the details, but the direction is clear. Higher energy costs raise costs for moving and making things. Companies resist raising prices at first, but the pressure builds. This movie ticket is my real-life example. If you pay more to fill your tank, you have less for entertainment. That's not a moral failure, it's math. Many households make that trade-off, and when millions do it, consumer spending slows. That's one way the economy cools. Same with restaurants. When budgets tighten, dining out is often the first to get cut. That doesn't mean people stop enjoying life, it means they shift to cheaper choices. Energy shocks change behavior, and behavior changes the economy. Payday doesn't feel as powerful when essentials rise. People can feel behind even if their income didn't change. That's why fuel prices become emotional and political. They're visible, frequent, and unavoidable for many, and they hit lower income households harder. This falling stock line shows another ripple. Markets react to energy shocks. Investors worry about profits and consumer demand. If costs rise, some companies earn less. If consumers spend less, some companies earn less. That fear can pull markets down. It's a confidence game. I'm spinning the globe because this isn't just one country's problem. Energy is globally priced, and many nations import what they need. When a major route is threatened, the competition for supply increases. Some places feel it more than others, but the ripple is worldwide. That's the point. Asia is a major destination for energy flows through the Strait of Hormuz, so when that route gets risky, Asia can feel the shock strongly. Higher import costs can slow growth, and slower growth can affect global trade. It's all connected. I'm opening a history book because oil shocks have a history of causing trouble. When energy spikes, inflation can rise while growth slows. That combination is scary for households and governments. Economists even use a word for it: stagflation risk. The lesson is, oil shocks are not small. This microphone is for the expert's main message. Duration matters. A short spike hurts, but people recover. A long spike changes decisions, business decisions and family decisions. The longer it lasts, the more it spreads. That's why everyone is watching the timeline. Time is the amplifier. Okay, now we switch from panic to planning. I'm holding a checklist because you do have options. You can't control global oil markets, but you can reduce how much they control you. Small moves can protect your budget. Let's get practical. First move, fewer car trips when possible. I'm putting my keys in a bowl like not today. Combine errands into one run. Avoid aggressive driving that burns extra fuel, and keep tires properly inflated. It's boring advice, but it saves real money. If you can walk, bike, or take transit sometimes, that can help. I'm holding the bike like it's a budget tool. Even 1 or 2 days a week can reduce fuel spending. It also reduces wear on your car, and that's another hidden savings. Carpooling and ride splitting are another option. I'm tapping a rideshare app because sharing costs is powerful. If fuel is expensive, sharing reduces the pain per person. It's not always convenient, but it's a lever you can pull. Use it when it fits.
At the store, focus on strategy, not stress. I'm cutting coupons because price shopping matters more during inflation. Consider store brands for basics. Watch for sales cycles and stock up on non-perishables when discounted. The goal is stability, not perfection. Meal planning is underrated defense. I'm opening the pantry because having a plan reduces last-minute expensive choices. Use what you already have before buying more. Reduce food waste. Waste is basically invisible inflation. And keep a few easy meals ready for busy days. Home energy is another place to save. I'm turning the thermostat down slightly because small changes add up over a month. Seal drafts if you can. Use a blanket and comfortable layers before cranking heat. Your future bill will thank you. For travel, flexibility is power. I'm holding a ticket and a calendar because shifting dates can cut costs. Consider closer destinations. If flying is too expensive, delay big trips. You're not giving up, you're timing it smarter. That's a win. For bigger purchases, compare prices and wait if you can. I'm swiping a comparison chart because inflation spikes can be temporary. If something isn't urgent, watch it for a few weeks. Let the market settle if it can. Patience can save money. Finally, build a small buffer if possible. I'm dropping coins into a jar because even a tiny emergency fund reduces stress. When prices swing, cash flexibility matters. It keeps you from relying on high-interest debt. Start small. Consistency beats size. Now we zoom out again to the map. Choke points like the Strait of Hormuz help explain why prices jump so fast. A lot of oil flows through there, about 20 million barrels per day in 2024, roughly 20% of global petroleum liquids consumption. So even the risk of disruption is a global event. That's why the world watches this area so closely.
This timeline board is your mental model. Some effects are immediate, gas and diesel. Some are delayed, shipping, groceries, and broader inflation. Don't be surprised if it feels like waves hitting over time. That's normal in supply chains. Understanding the timing helps you plan. And here's your reminder, don't panic. Panic buying and doom spending don't help. Focus on what you can control this week. Make small adjustments, then reassess. Calm beats chaos. You've got this. If this explanation helped, stick around for more simple money and world news breakdowns. I'm pointing at you because you're the reason this channel exists. Drop a comment. What price increase have you noticed first? Gas, groceries, or bills? Your examples help everyone learn. And yes, subscribe for the next story. Let's wrap it up. The Iran war is shaking energy markets, and that can raise costs far beyond the gas station. It can hit shipping, flights, home energy, and eventually food, especially if high prices last. The best move is smart planning, not fear. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.